I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning, Marty.
First of all, we've got the agenda ahead of us. Courtney brought one addition. We got the Carroll Bowl liquor license to approve. Is there anything else, any other corrections or deletions or anything else?
We should probably add receipt of this Ask Me letter.
Yes.
I believe we should.
Let's acknowledge receipt of that,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
So,
I'll move to approve the agenda with those two additions.
Okay. Got a motion?
Second that motion.
Okay. Got a motion and a second to approve the agenda with the two additions. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Then we have the minutes from last Monday's board meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review those?
I believe they read well. I certainly didn't catch anything. Otherwise, it would keep me from making a motion to approve them.
Just a couple
Small one.
of things I just noticed. On the second set, motion in my box, agenda should say with the addition instead of which the addition.
Typo.
It's just a little thing. And then right at the bottom, request is made by adjoining landowners. That should be plural. There were several landowners who requested the right-of-way thing. So they're just very minor. The minutes technically were very correct. So I'd just like to have those two little things changed.
Okay.
I'll stand by the motion then with those small changes.
Okay, got a motion, need a second?
I'll second that motion.
Got a motion and a second to approve last week's minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we'll go down to the first item on our agenda, and it's to approve the payables.
I don't know if any of you are aware that Carl's out of the office. I think they're down in Tennessee or something.
Yeah, I've missed him the last 3 Fridays, so I
So,
just,
he brought up some invoices to be paid because he wasn't here, so I can pass those around. I'd like to add those, and then this is another one. And then we received invoices from R&R Septic for work done in Mount Carmel, and he's now charging mileage, which is new. We've never paid mileage, at least broken out on the invoice, so that's not in the system, but just thought I'd bring it to your attention.
do we need to review that maintenance agreement with him?
You might need to.
I finally got that done. When did he do that? They didn't say what day it was. Maybe she'll quit calling now. Who does this? Rusty
It's
Figures.
Rusty Figures.
Maybe I just have to take a look at the contract, see if it provides for mileage or not. You know how it works, they could always just bump up their hourly rate to cover it, but
Sure.
either here nor there, we better at least, before we approve it, take a look at the maintenance agreement there.
I agree. I think.
Is that an annual maintenance agreement, or does it renew annually? Well, once again,
I'd
we
have
can't
to- I'd have to
remember
look.
them
I
all.
don't remember.
Yeah, I don't, in that respect, I'm not sure if mileage
remember
is something that was allowed on the contract and he's not been accounting for it, or if he's just starting to add it on, or if it shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's a little unclear, so
Yeah,
I agree.
so maybe we'll bump that one back.
Yeah, I would
check the contract.
Okay, we'll do that.
If it's a dollar amount to it. I didn't see anything that was out of the ordinary here, I didn't think.
No, it looked good.
One of the claims periods where there wasn't any great big ones in there. It's a relatively low amount in total.
Yeah,
Yeah.
real low. I would make a motion to approve payables as it stands, with the additions,
And check the contract on that one.
and then check the contract on the R&R
Septic.
septic.
Okay. Got a
And that's with
motion.
the additions.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second to approve the payables. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, with that, we'll go down to the Carroll Bowl liquor license. I'll pass that around. Just received that today.
Assume it's a Class C, right? Sunday sales.
I'm not aware of any problems out there. And plus, it's a whole lot easier to bowl with a little liquor around you, so I'd make a motion to approve that.
Got a motion, we need a second.
I'll second the motion, but I want the part about easier to vote. Roll with that in the motion.
All right. No, it wasn't in the motion. Just a comment. And I know deep down you agree, so.
Got a motion and a second to approve the Class C liquor license for Carroll Bowl. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Nobody opposed.
Never seemed to help my.
Didn't help your score?
No.
Motion carried.
Same way with golf, and billiards, and bags, and everything else. Doesn't seem to help. Makes the pain of losing that much more tolerable, however.
Okay, next item, we'll go down to the receipt of the ASME for the Conservation Board.
Yeah.
Receipt of that letter.
Yeah, it just merely states, by this letter, you are hereby notified of the intention of the employees represented by local AFSCME to open negotiations for their collective bargaining agreement. This is in accordance with provisions set forth in Chapter 20 of the Code of Iowa. Please forward this letter to your collective bargaining representative and have your rep contact me, named below, to discuss dates and times to open negotiations. Signed by Rick Eilander. Rick was who we visited with last year, and that was a one-year contract. And most of you can remember what were the issues surrounding that agreement last year. So I will take it upon myself to let Renee know that they're interested in getting together, and we'll try and schedule a date here before too long. So with that, make a motion to approve receipt or acknowledge receipt of the AFSCME collective bargaining for fiscal year 16.
Okay, got a motion. We need-
17,
I believe.
Yeah.
17.
Got a motion, we need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, got a motion and a second to acknowledge the receipt of the collective bargaining letter. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, with that, we'll go to the manure management updates. We've got two of them here today. One is for Andover in section 32 now, Newton Township. And that one, there's no changes. And the second one is for D&H Court, Section 23 of Washington Township. And that one, they have changed the crop rotation and are using the manure analysis. Pass those down to Courtney. Yeah, that's all. These two go together. There we go. Okay, with that, nothing else, we should go to committee reports. Neil?
Okay, start with Monday. I just wanted to notify everyone that we've received notices from DHS that the Medicaid Modernization Initiative has kicked in. There were 11 people that, 11 different entities that applied to administer Medicaid in Iowa. They are calling the new approach to Medicaid IA Health Link, and they have selected 4 different entities to administer Medicaid. And of course, these are just notice to intent awards. They have to dig into the contracts and visit with them to work out the details. And also, in addition to this, ISAC has appointed certain people to look into this, one from each district, and in our district, our area, Don Menser is that person that ISAC has appointed to be kind of an ad hoc committee. So that just was announced on Monday after our meeting. Okay, and then of course I did the radio and newspaper last Monday, and Wednesday had several meetings. One of them was the local planning meeting. And one thing they always talk about at the local planning meeting is community needs or unmet needs. And the two that have been coming up are housing and also transportation. And specifically on the housing, what they're lacking is big houses for big families that are energy efficient. That's where they think. There's some families with 4 or 5 members, they're crammed in apartments, and every time a large house becomes available, it's usually an older one where the utilities just are too expensive. So I think I'll make a point of that when we do our housing survey, but also I want to keep in mind that the housing survey is coming from one direction where they're looking to provide housing, to provide people to be employed here. This is coming from the other direction. It's coming working from people who are financial odds and want a little better living situation. Also, they passed out the DHS report on food assistance, family investment, Medicaid expenses. On an average month, Carroll County will have 857 households getting food assistance at a cost of $185,000, and Medicaid is really the big one. On an average month, there will be 4,876 people served, and when you think of a population of 20,000, that's just under a fourth of the population gets some Medicaid assistance. The average monthly cost is over $4 million, and that's for the cost of the benefits, and that I don't believe includes the cost of the administration either. So when we talk about Medicaid, it's a huge expense. And then you come back and we read in our here where they're talking about increasing Medicaid benefits for people who are just 50 years old, and the expense and the system is financially in tough shape. Medicaid is a big challenge. Okay. Then on Wednesday afternoon, had the Coalition of Human Services meeting, which Mark and I both attended. They handed out a Carroll County Director of Human Services. I know we've had this here before, but I'll set another one here. If you know of anyone that needs any services in Carroll County, there's a lot of them available. And this Medicaid modernization was brought up at that meeting by our case managers, Kelsey and Morgan. They were there, and they discussed this at that meeting. I also mentioned at the meeting that we have office space for rent, and I mentioned who the realtor was, because if you look at who's in that building with the DHS and general service and everything, that any of the organizations at the coalition would fit right in there if they had a need for more office space. Also brought up, one of the gals there, Casey Lee, who works for Workforce Management, or Workforce, talked a little bit about Tyson. They've laid off 400 people. In a way, it isn't quite as bad as they originally thought. There's another entity in Denison that's in the meat business that could use about 200 more employees. They weren't intending on announcing that they were looking for employees yet, but now that this happened, they did announce. They've also had said that normally when there's layoff, Workforce is notified ahead of time, and so they can get ready. There was no notification. This came from the top down. So they were kind of caught off guard. They have had one meeting over there, which was well attended by the employees. They're having a job fair over there tomorrow, and they've had lots of employers and potential employees sign up for it. And the reason I'm making a big deal out of this is because this housing study that we're in the process of paying for is, part of the purpose is to get people to work at our jobs. And I'm not sure how that's going to affect us, but there will be a fair amount of people in the Denison area looking for jobs, and I'm sure our employers are going to be over there interviewing them. And I plan on getting back in contact with Casey later in the week to ask her how the job fair that's being held tomorrow went over. But just things that we need to keep in mind. It seems there's a lot of dots that connect with housing and employment and services, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and trying to work to best connect those. That was Wednesday. Thursday, had a CPPC meeting, which is Community Partnership for Protecting Children. We had to change the coordinator contract, do an amendment to that because we have a contract with our employment there, and the insurance costs have increased beyond what we had allocated for the contract, so we had to allocate $2,500 more to that to cover the insurance. We also went over several contracts. One of our contracts was Kids with Connection. In the original contract, they were asked to have professional liability insurance. That is very expensive, and they noted that they do not do therapy, which is what the insurance is for. So our board and DHS and several other parties looked into it and determined that no, you do not do therapy. You should not need this insurance. So the requirement for that insurance was taken off of their contract and has saved them a considerable amount of money. Then the New Opportunities has a Love and Logic program, which has been very successful. They requested a one-time funding for $49.95. I'll just say $5,000 roughly, and this would be used to train the trainer to do this. One of our board members brought up the idea that, well, this is a little bit like what we do with, they do with law enforcement people. You pay for their training at the academy, but if they don't stay, they need to refund. And I brought the point, well, this is a little different. We're not training our employee, we're training somebody else's employee. And after lengthy discussion, we all agreed to offer them only $1,500 rather than the full $5,000, so that we just didn't feel we needed to invest that much in another organization's employee for that service. And of course, all of these meetings, the local planning and the CPPC meeting, we did all the other things, the minutes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Want to state that this Thursday I have there's two meetings. Tuesday, Marty and I are going to meet with Mallard View. I'm not sure what the subject of that is, but they wanted a meeting between Marty and I, representatives of this board, and with Don Mentzer. So we're going to have that tomorrow at 3 o'clock, Marty?
Yes.
And Thursday afternoon, 2 o'clock, is Rolling Hills having their monthly meeting. One unique subject item there has to do with the Plains area house that was purchased in Sac City. A big share of the grant or block grant has gone to the purchase of a house, and now the question is, well, what if something happens? They own the house, it's our money. If they quit, if they back out, if they go bankrupt, the house burns down. There's quite an asset that we paid for that is pretty much in their control. And we want to, and they're being cooperative with this, but we want to kind of get a handle on this piece of real estate. We don't really want to own real estate, but We can see how our equity could go away there, our investment. Mr. Saylor, Roger Saylor, who's the county attorney at Crawford County, has been helping us with this and helping us with all our legal matters. He stepped away from this a little bit, said, I'll help you anyway, but real estate really isn't my specialty, and he's kind of recommended another attorney to help us through this, and we're going to consider that at our meeting on Thursday. But if any of you have any good ideas on how to handle a house that we've paid for, that another entity is managing and running to protect our interest, let me know so I can bring that up as part of the discussion.
Good point.
And finally, I guess several months ago, we've had a couple discussions. I know Mark has brought up the Cadillac tax, and I brought the Cadillac tax, and we all visited about this expensive excise tax. And then 2 weeks ago, Group Services came in, and we had a discussion, and they basically quantified some of our fears that if trends go the same with the cost of our insurance, et cetera, between the years 2018, 2026, there'd be I think it's $3.7 million increased expense due to this Obamacare excise tax or whatever. My question is, where do we go from here? I think we're at a good situation. Two of the things that they want is they want counties to be self-funded, which we are already there. Another one is they looked at reinsurance with a third party, which we have just accomplished here. And they had several other things that they suggested. One was joining with a bigger group, a captive group, more of a sustainable wellness program, and showed that it would save that. Reducing our total cost, working with our deductibles and stop losses is also helpful. I guess what I'm saying is it's time for us to navigate through this, and we're in a good situation that we don't have to go into overdrive and make rash decisions, but I don't think we should put this vehicle in park either. What suggestions for the board do you have to move forward to make the right decisions so that when we get down the road, we know that we've done all we could to reduce or eliminate this pending expense liability? I know Group Services has offered for cost to sell us their services, and there's a lot of things we could also do. I'll ask this question again next week. Let's all think for a week on where we want to go with this, because we do need to move forward. We don't need to go in high gear, but we don't need to park either. We need to logically go forward and make good decisions, work with each other counties, Group Services, or however we do it. There's things we should be doing. But is there any upfront suggestions right now after we've heard all this information?
I would like the insurance committee to reconvene, likely in September or October.
Okay.
And host another green light thinking session that would focus solely on this issue.
Okay.
And I've stated before, and I'll state it again, that I think the solution begins with our bargaining units. They got to kind of lead the charge in terms of our labor force. If we're going to take a look at significant changes to our insurance policy and thus holding premiums at a minimum, I think it needs to be driven by them. Certainly they've got to be willing to perhaps consider changes, concessions whatsoever. We brought it up here again just last Thursday when we met very informally with a member of the Teamsters rep, and so he's well aware of, brought up to speed with the most recent issues with Cadillac tax. So I think September or October would be a great time to have the insurance committee reconvene and host a green light thinking session.
That sounds very good, Mark. And I know working with the bargaining units is, since we have a few of them, more than one, is going to be a challenge. But one good part of the challenge is we're not bargaining on changing the percentage. Like, we're not asking them to contribute 30%, where now they're contributing 15%. It's the total cost. And another good thing is we're all in this together. If we work together, we can do it to everybody's mutual benefit. So I can see a little more cooperation with this than with some other issues, but it's absolutely going to be a challenge. Okay. Well, let's kind of think this over a week, and if anybody else has any additional ideas, or in addition to Mark, or to help his proposal, which is a very good one, I think we need to keep moving and not stop at this point.
Neil, I also spoke with Rick Hecht Saturday night. We were just at a wedding, mutual friends and family, and he and I went off into a corner for a good half hour and spoke about this subject. And he wanted to know of the board's receptivity to the benefit source, their presentation, and perhaps, becoming a member of a larger group, or
Mhm.
a trust, or coalition, or regionalization, whatever you want to put it. And
Captive.
Yeah, captive, yeah.
Captive
Better
group.
term. And yeah, I told him, I said, I think right now all bets are on. We've got to take a look at, that's why I think about the green light thinking session. Is the green light thinking session puts everything on the table, good or bad. We'll sort it out later, but let's just throw all the ideas into one bucket right now. Let's prioritize perhaps, which ones might have legs in a separate, meeting as a follow-up. But Rick wanted to know if we'd be open to it, and I said, speaking only for myself, I think I would be, but there'd certainly have to be some economies gained, and there's more questions than answers at this point, but perhaps that might be an alternative to at least consider.
One thought that I had, and was also brought up by group services in regards to having a bigger or captive group, was to look at the region with the mental health, because that is somewhat of an organization.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I've had discussions both with Rick and Paul Merton from BV County. They've both visited with, or done work with group services. And that's just one thing to put in your green light bucket, is maybe consider using the mental health region as a starting point for this.
Sure.
It wouldn't have to be that way, but just one idea.
Yep.
Okay. All right. That's it. So maybe next week we can kick this around a little bit more after we give it some more thought, so we can proceed forward in a logical
See what kind
manner.
of support we get also from ISAC, if they're,
Yeah.
some direction from them as well.
Yep. Okay. Otherwise, that concludes my committee reports. Thank you.
Yeah. Gene?
Tuesday I had CADC meeting, and we went through the financials, and then we also did approve the annual report from John Morrow. We did accept that, and with that was a letter of in-kind stuff that we have to report every year into that report, which shows like what the in-kind contribution, what's as far as office equipment and shared utilities, and then also the city's contribution, the county's contribution. And then we talked about where we're at with the housing needs assessment. We did had a discussion in regard to the employment. There is this map right now. Carroll County is at 2.7, and last year was 3.4. And as you can see, all the brown ones are the counties that have decreased. The light blue one is no change, and the two dark blue ones are decreased. That the numbers have went up, or I mean increased. So yeah, Carroll is not way down low. A lot of them have dropped down. I don't know where we're ranked now, but we're on a low end yet, but not like as low as what we were, because a lot of these have decreased throughout the state. The other thing we talked about was Jan Addy's report, some of the stuff that she's got done now with Western Iowa Advantage. There's a lot of information. I can pass this around if you want to look at it. It talks about competitive labor costs, electric rates, and cost of living, and different things like that. And then Shannon talked about the different trade shows that are coming up, that she's going to be participating in some of them and some not. And then we did have election of officers, and Jim Allen was elected president, Nick Beatty vice president, Chuck Dicebeck as treasurer, and Mike Franey as secretary. I don't know why I got that backwards. Chuck Dicebeck as secretary and Mike Franey as treasurer. And then Shannon gave a report on her, what's been kind of what she's been involved with. And then also we had, she talked about Western Iowa's labor survey needs to be redone again. And that's gonna be that's Western Iowa's cost of about $33,000, so they're gonna be looking for some grants and stuff to try to finance that again, so that was Tuesday. And then on Friday, I was at the gift center. Wasn't a lot on the agenda, but it was kind of a short meeting, but things are looking good. Went through the financials. One of probably the biggest discussion we did approve was purchase of a new phone system. We have an issue up to the phones. So we did approve with Scott Technologies for $5,574. As of Friday, they had 6 in there, and there was 2 of those were BIA kids. The BIA thing's been a great deal. Had some talk about a workman's comp is going to possibly drop from 22,000 down to 10,000 because we've had a good report or good running standing of no claims here lately. Fire marshal was in and did an inspection, and there was just 2 minor things. There was an electrical outlet that had needed something done, and I can't even read what the other thing was. I got it wrote down here. But we averaged 8.9 in the month before, and this last month we averaged 6.7. So things are going good up there, and that's basically it.
Thanks, Gene. Dean? I had a quiet week, nothing going on. Okay, thanks, Dean. Mark?
Busy week. Monday was the Child Care Center board meeting. Just give you an update on the center. There are positions available, struggling with finding employees as well. 2 full-time positions available as well as 4 part-time positions. Enrollment, this is something that's very new to the center, is there's positions available. There is an opening in the infant room, and there are 2 openings in the 3-year-old room, and there are 2 seats open in the 4 and 5s, and there are 10 seats available in the school-age room. They gave a report that the Timmerman and Renzi grants were, once again, you might have read that in the paper, extremely generous to the center. They have been a real godsend to us. They totaled nearly $20,000 in grants. And then they entered into an agreement with Hy-Vee for bread. They will now be able to purchase as much bread products as they need for just 88 cents a package. And then they are going to change their drug testing policy from 2 per month to 3 per month. And I guess they're going to participate in this RVTV, which is coming September 8th. And then there has been made a change in their handbook due to property damage. This would be damage to center property that where the parents would be responsible should a child cause damage to the center. And then Bob has also gave an update on the roof repair, and Bob has spoken to Arnold Thomas. Most of you recall Arnold, he's with Rural Development. And Arnold said that they would qualify for a 15-year loan at just 3%. So they're going to look into that further and report on it next month. Then on Wednesday, Neil had mentioned was the Coalition of Human Services. I'll just pass this around. One of the things that were reported was from New Opportunities that hosted a free children's clinic. It was a back-to-school clinic. They offered physicals, dental screening, vision screening, immunizations, lead testing, developmental screening, and haircuts for children in school age, anywhere from preschool all the way up to 18 years of age. And here's just kind of a head count front and back of how many people participated in what. That was a very, very nice deal. This was a first ever event for New Opportunities. They didn't really know what they were going to face, but it was very well attended, and they look forward to doing it again next year. And then on Thursday, I participated in a grievance hearing that was with a Sheriff's Department employee over a vacation, and they, after a very lengthy meeting, we had decided to grant the vacation days back into the vacation bank, And then there was going to be an agreement to add additional language to the contract. It was just a very rare occurrence that may or may not ever happen again, but if it does, they now have language in the contract in which to cover it. Give you just a head, that was my week, but just a heads up is tonight at Kemper, they're hosting the active shooter activity out there, and I'll be part of that, representing emergency management. And I think they're, inviting as many supervisors who wish to attend as observers to do so. So
What time is that?
4 o'clock at Kemper. They think it'll take about 2 hours. It's going to involve all the law enforcement agencies. It's going to involve both hospitals, and it's going to be a pretty, worthwhile activity, I think. So,
I think last Wednesday.
going to be
they had one in
reported on
Manning,
it.
didn't
Pardon?
They had one in Manning last Wednesday, didn't they?
Yes.
Well, they had one in Kemper earlier this week too with with the staff.
Today.
No,
The
my
staff
daughter.
just shows up today.
No,
We
my
did the
daughter,
Alice training last week
They-
for this event.
all right.
Okay.
They had training
Oh.
for it, because
Okay.
Training for this event.
apparently that's what it was,
Okay.
because I was hearing about that.
Yeah.
I just know something different. It's interesting. On this event Mark was talking about, they had a survey, how did you hear about this event? And Facebook was the biggest,
Yeah, isn't that
most
something?
successful advertising mode they had.
Okay. Thanks, Mark. I didn't have any official meetings last week. Got a busy week this week, as Neil mentioned. We got Mallard due at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Got an email from Harvey Dales last week regarding Life Cycle Meats is looking at opening up or trying to get a processing plant in Manning. Kind of fits into the Tyson thing over in Denison, and there'd be a job opportunity there. But that is at Wednesday at 2 o'clock at the city park. And then Friday, I've got a meeting at St. Anthony's in regards to the transportation with the mental health issues. So that's with Ed Smith and Karen Tatum. So that's all I have. Courtney?
Don't have anything.
Do you know the nature of this, where this
It's basically
was
just,
sent just for information only for the
Courtney
supervisors?
gave it to me.
West Central?
It was in an email.
I visited again at this same event. There's a lot of people there Saturday night. That this is one of their lead agronomists, and he said if we are in a position to support this in any way, he would encourage us to do so. And I said I think it's pretty much up to the members, and the way I read this letter, it pretty much is. But he urged as much support. He said this would be a very good thing, the merger between West Central and Farmers Co-op. So.
They're putting on meetings. It's just kind of an educational thing. Is it
Are you a
process?
member of
Yeah.
either? Okay.
Yeah.
So you plan to attend?
Yeah, I plan on
Okay.
going.
Do you think it's a good thing?
Go to the meeting and find out.
Find out.
You know, those things, until you go to the meetings and find out what's really behind it, it's hard to say what's
Yeah.
behind it.
Well, they always do those things for economy of scale usually, and sometimes it's for replacement of upper management that they can't seem to find to replace.
Yeah.
So I think that might be one of these things there too.
You remember?
Used to be.
Any comments from anybody in attendance? If not, we'll vote for motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Gene, you got radio today?
Yeah.
Newspaper?
I know what the hell I'm gonna talk about.